Today I want to talk about a really unique motor yacht that was built in Sweden on the eve of World War II in 1939. It's called United Spirit. At that time it was dubbed the fastest yacht in the world and it held that record for 30 years. The pedigree of this yacht is fascinating. First, a few specs. It's 112 feet long, 34.2 meters. It's got a draft of only 1.1 meters, which is 3.5 feet. And as you probably guessed, it's got jet drive engines in order to have that kind of draft. It's been repowered with MTUs, and the current owners repowered it and set it up so that it would be economic to run. Because as you know, vessels this size, whether they're Mangustas or Pershings or Leopards, they tend to have a lot of horsepower and eat up a lot of fuel to get their speed. That's not the case with this vessel. It is set up to give you a really solid 24, 25 knot cruise using very little fuel. The shipyard that built this yacht was actually a commercial shipyard. It had the distinction of being the largest builder in terms of gross tons in the 1930s in all of Europe. So it was a very capable builder. In the original build, it had triple 12-cylinder Rolls-Royce Merlin engines, delivering over 3,000 horsepower. These are the same engines that were used by the rum runners in the United States in the 1920s. But more interestingly, leading up to World War II, the Brits and the Americans were developing these fast torpedo boats, or so-called PT boats, and they had the same engine configuration, and they had a top speed of over 40 knots. I gotta believe that the Swedes were trying to get in on that. But as it turns out, United Spirit is the only model in this kind of series and this kind of speed range that was built by this shipyard. So I look at this yacht as a really well-restored classic yacht in the same way that you might consider a 1930s vintage Bugatti. It's a restored classic. As part of its history, in addition to being the fastest yacht in the world, it also was a fixture in the Monaco Harbor in the 1990s as a sought-after charter vessel. And that's where I first saw it when I was working there for Camper Nicholson, and we represented this yacht for charter. It had a devoted clientele that included some very well-known royals from Sweden. So the evolution of United Spirit from 1939 to 2025, you can see immediately here that the flybridge was added. And this is a good-sized flybridge with a radar arch. And also, basically, everything aft of the pilot house there. The large windows. The Eurotransom has a hydraulic passerelle that also serves as steps coming up from the swim platform when it's in its closed position. When they extended the deck house, of course, they added an interior. This has been renewed several times. Once by Tony Castro in the UK, and this interior, I believe, was done by Southampton Yacht Services in the UK. But one of the biggest changes in the evolution of this hull was the repowering. So it had these triple Merlin engines, which are actually gas-powered. In 2004, the entire engine room was re-engineered and repowered with twin MTU engines. And these are 10-cylinder engines that have low load factors, and these engines have been factory serviced and only have 250 hours since new. They're actually powered down to match the output of the Kamewa water jets. A big part of the repowering project was to install an entirely new bridge with joystick controls and new electronics that you can see here. Now, a really fascinating thing about this yacht, the original hull is aluminum. So in 1991, what they did was they took this bare aluminum hull and in effect they encased it inside of a fiberglass hull. So the vessel as it sits today is effectively a fiberglass hull with an aluminum coating inside of it. They sanded down the aluminum to get it ready to apply a special glue formula that they had. They vacuum pressed a hard foam over the aluminum. And the result is that United Spirit effectively has a double hull. They not only encased the hull, including the underwater parts of the hull, but they also coated the decks, which have teak on top of them, and they coated the superstructure. And here's a very interesting part of it. 14 years after this system was applied, the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm conducted tests on this fiberglass coating. The only place where they'd found any anomalies was right under the engine where a rivet had let some hydraulic fluid through, and that had caused a small separation in the glue there, which they sealed up and fixed. But there were no other anomalies in the hull, and it was completely effective, and it still is today. The system was certified by Germanischer Lloyds in 2010, so it's class approved. And as you can see there, it acted as a fairing. You've got a very fine hull finish on there, and but it's not heavy like fairing. It's not mud, it's a lightweight foam. And it increases the strength of the hull. And we've got documents to show how that was tested. So the hull today is actually stronger than the aluminum hull was originally by quite a big factor. It provides a high degree of thermal insulation for both heat and cold, and they don't get condensation inside the hull. It also serves to deaden the sound and vibration, which is a big plus. This vessel is available now for purchase through Yachtsu, and we're looking for an owner that will appreciate the speed, the fuel economy, shallow draft, how cool it looks, and this unique pedigree. There is no other yacht like it in terms of its performance and its history. And we'd be very happy to show it to you or send you more information, so just get in touch.